All right. Not sure if we're live on the YouTube or the TikTok or the Twitch yet, but SML seems to think so. Hello, SML. Let me pull this up real fast. That's the one. Okay, cool. Hello. How's it going? It says offline here, so I'm not sure if you're there, but just put the final touches on the show here. Oh, we got people on YouTube. Nice. Almost done. Give me 2 seconds here. Boom. Okay. Hello. Hi. What was that aquarium? SML. That's a great question. Watching from the sweetest side of Detroit, Michigan. Hello, Drina. How are you? I like the turtles. I like the turtles too. Shall we take a look? I think we got Monterey Bay Aquarium up. Let's see. Wow. Isn't this way more relaxing than the news? Yeah. Let's just watch this for an hour. They're probably a lot smarter than us. I am transfixed. I am transfixed. Hey, look who's here. It's Lisa. Let's see if she's right here. No, she's not there yet. But Lisa is our executive producer, and she is our spirit guide through this craziness that we call the news every day. And we miss her. She's not in the office. She's at home recovering from, some skiing injuries. Got the aquarium in the Pacific here in the LBC. Yeah, you do. It is awesome. That Long Beach aquarium is incredible. Love it. Not on cam, sorry. I'm moderating. Yeah, moderate that chat. And I think SML promises to be tip-top behavior. Who are you? Just notified if you're live. Hey, Janet, great. What are you on? You're on YouTube? That's interesting that you got a notification. All right, so we are NBC News. And I know it doesn't look like that with the aquarium here, keeping things peaceful, and this studio underneath. But this is Stay Tuned Now. It's actually the pre-show to the actual show. So in about 10 minutes, my show is going to start. It's called Stay Tuned. It's here on the Universal lot, and we're going to cover the news of the day for an hour long. And it's a show that we have on the NBC News Now network. It comes after Top Story. Before that, it's Hallie Jackson. Before that, it is Meet the Press. Before that is all the slates of shows that we have throughout the day. And this, what you stumbled upon, is our friends and family and best followers only, I guess, on TikTok, on YouTube, and I think on Twitch now. So we're trying this new thing where you get to come hang out before the news starts, and if you have news questions, you can ask them right here. And during the commercial breaks, you don't have to watch commercials on here. You can watch them on TV, but here you can ask questions. So you'll see us oscillate between doing the news straight up to just hanging out right here in the chat. Hey, what's up, Doreen? How's it going? Happy spring. Oh, you're my favorite journalist. Apologies for the typos. That's okay. This is broadcast. You can typo all you want, just not on there. Spread information. Only read. It's funny when you look at Star Wars. It's kind of like we're living at the rebellion against. Interesting. That's a very interesting take. Lisa, yes. Skiing. She is, getting better, getting stronger by the day. Official Troll Central. Hello from the UK. Welcome, Official Troll. Be super nice today, please. Kira, good job, man. Thanks. I like the song. Is there a song? What's the name of the song? Is there a song? Let's see. What music? Oh, it must be pumping in from the Monterey Bay Aquarium. That's interesting. Cool. Lisa loves the music. Patricia, the island. Is the island all fixed up? Watching from Orlando, Florida. Let's see. Cool. What else do we have? Watching from Detroit. Can I tease today's topics? Absolutely. Okay, here we go. Mocha Tall Espresso. I'm going to hang out here for a bit, but I wanted to say, have a good weekend. You have a good weekend too, and please hang out. We haven't even started the show. The show starts in 8 minutes, and it will tell you everything you need to know about the news. And today, we are going to be leading with Iran. And the reason why we're leading with Iran is because, look, for the longest time, and I'm sure you guys have had this in conversations at home, like there is so much, there's like this big fog of like, why did we go to a war in Iran when we did, and like, what is this war about, and was there an imminent threat? For me, today, just sitting back and watching all the feeds come in, watching all the reporting that we've got from NBC, like really crystallized with a moment between Richard Engel, who is one of the best journalists on the planet, incredible foreign correspondent in Jerusalem. He was there and he asked Benjamin Netanyahu himself, the Prime Minister of Israel. He asked him, number one, what do you see happening after the war? Like, what do you see on day one following the war? And then he also asked, look, a lot of Americans think that Israel dragged us into this war with Iran. How do you respond? So Benjamin Netanyahu responded with saying he didn't think that that was the case, that Israel dragged the United States into the war, but he said that he didn't really say there was an imminent threat. He kind of made it sound more like there was an existential threat, and imagine what would happen if Iran had nuclear weapons, those kind of things. So that is very, very important, right? And then when it comes to how he saw the war ending and what would happen, he said that he wants to see oil pipelines through the Middle East, bypassing the Strait of Hormuz, no more of that. Instead, Middle East oil goes through Israel into Israeli ports in the Mediterranean. So for me, Richard Engel's reporting crystallized so much of this war. And in addition to that, today, in the old city of Jerusalem, where the Temple Mount is, there was an Iranian drone that they say was shot down and then came down 300. And let's get out to Jerusalem, where NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel is standing by. Richard, that exchange is going to go down in history. The rerouting of oil from the so holy to Christians, to Muslims, to Jews, and if that would have, I don't know, gone a little bit over here or gone a little bit over there, it would have hit something. It landed in a place where there was vegetation. There was like nothing, no structure standing. But in any direction, like things would have been so bad. So somehow that didn't happen. And, you know, I guess that's a good thing. Let's see here. Lisa C., thanks for sharing the stream. Hi, from New Mexico. Oh, wow. Thanks so much. That's been a while since COVID. It's been 2 lifetimes. I always think of my kids as the pandemic mark, because Kira was born during the pandemic, and it has been so long since I've seen a lot of people. Let's see here, but New Mexico is always home for me. Stargate Atlantis, SML jellyfish. Are you guys still seeing jellyfish? We've got the jellyfish pumped up. It's I'll show you what's going on. Got Big Mike over there looking super handsome with his new haircut. And then over there, those are the jellyfish. And like, it's a stressful world. And I think every day we're gonna have those jellyfish or something like that, because it's either the jellyfish or the bald eagles that are over there in Big Bear raising their families. Something about seeing that just calms you down. And we need more of that in this world, especially with this freaking crazy job of trying to figure out everything that's happening all over the world with the news. So let's see here. What else do we have going on? We do have a super cool look at some AI training for the Air Force medical units that respond. I think you are a partner network with Sky in the UK. That's right, we are. Gun Barrel City, Texas? Is that really a place? I'm gonna check. Gun Barrel, Texas? Are you messing with us? Gun Barrel City, Texas. That's a real place. That is awesome. On the eastern shore of the Cedar Creek Reservoir in Henderson County. Okay. I guess we'll put that on the bucket list, the travel bucket list. Do you ever think we're going to have a conservative government again? AIJ Ledge, are you talking about the United States? Because we have a pretty conservative-leaning government right now. Congress, Supreme Court, the president. Richard Engel, yes. Richard Engel he does, with the Elder Hakim from Sky News. It is must listen to. I'm so glad you know of his work. He's incredible. From Brazil, Ótimo. Let's see, Canada in the house. Wow. Okmulgee, Oklahoma. Is that right? Okmulgee? CBS will be done with radio. That's right. That is right. Sky News is incredible. Incredible. Tonight, we've got the latest from Iran on the war TSA. Oh, yeah. Lisa, which one's your favorite story? I wonder. Does it rhyme with Bachelorette? That would be nice. 2474? Yeah, massively promoted on Sky News. They should. That's amazing. I'm glad that they're promoting it. Australia? Hello. Yesterday, we had one of your Australian geniuses, that guy who saved his dog by making his own cancer vaccine. What? Wow. Incredible story. Looks like we've got 1 minute and 30 seconds left before the show. Let me make sure I posted on the Talk here. 2 seconds. Did it post? It did. Okay. All right. Yeah, Australia. So cool. Slightly partial to the drama. Yes, you are.
1 minute. So.
300 TSA officers quit their jobs. Yes, they did. And those lines are pretty crazy. If you guys have traveled recently, make sure to thank like some TSA officers when you go through too, because they've been working without pay for quite some time. Central California gateway to the giant sequoia. Oh my gosh. I just got a roof tint for my Jeep, and my daughter and my son, they love camping, so we're gonna be headed that way very, very soon. I hear some amazing camping is out in that area. Gotti, yes, it does calm my brain down. Do we still have it up? No, it's not up. We got the show coming up. Show's coming up in 15 seconds. So in 15 seconds, you're gonna see, stay tuned now, starting here on the West Coast, 5 o'clock, East Coast, 8 o'clock. It's an hour-long news show. And again, during the commercial breaks, we'll come back, we'll try to answer some of these questions, but the show is about to start. Hey guys, it's Scotty Schwartz, and tonight the Pentagon is sending 3 warships and thousands of more Marines to the Middle East as the president says they want to start talking with Iran's leaders, but also this.
We want to talk to them, and there's nobody to talk to. We have nobody to talk to, and you know what? We like it that way.
Plus, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is saying that after the war, he wants to see pipelines built across the Middle East to bring oil and gas directly through Israel.
Just have oil pipelines going west through the Arabian Peninsula, right up to Israel, right up to our Mediterranean ports.
All that while a missile comes dangerously close to one of the holiest sites for Jews, Christians, and Muslims. We're on the ground in Jerusalem. Then TSA lines continue to be miserably long because of that partial government shutdown that's putting a strain on TSA officers. The question now for Congress is, when will it end? Plus, terrifying scenes in Hawaii. Officials there say heavy rains and flash flooding have put a dam at risk of imminent failure. And the fallout continues after ABC pulled the upcoming season of The Bachelorette. Could a lot more of this drama end up in court? Stay tuned. And tonight, as Iran marks the Persian New Year, all eyes are on what comes next with a lot of mixed messaging about the war in Iran. President Trump is weighing sending thousands of troops into Iran, according to 5 sources who spoke with NBC News that are familiar with discussions. While just a few moments ago, his administration announced that it would be lifting sanctions on some Iranian oil in an attempt to try to bring down some of the rising energy prices. And as all of that is happening, The president just posted on social media that he was considering, quote, winding down the war with Iran as it was getting very close to meeting its objectives. Already, the United States is accelerating its deployment of thousands more Marines to that region. Among the warships carrying them, the USS Boxer, seen here, pushing off just a little while ago from San Diego. Meanwhile, both sides are hammering out attacks relentlessly in the Middle East, with Iran continuing to pummel critical energy infrastructure across the Gulf, like this oil refinery in Kuwait, while also striking Jerusalem's historic Old City a mere seconds after sirens warned of an incoming attack. Trump describing the war right now this way.
Oh, I think we've won. We've knocked out their Navy, their Air Force. We've knocked out their anti-aircraft. We've knocked out everything. We're roaming free. From a military standpoint, all they're doing is clogging up the strait. But from a military standpoint, they're finished. Look, we can have dialogue, but I don't want to do a ceasefire. You know, you don't do a ceasefire when you're literally obliterating the other side.
And in this haze of exactly why this war started, there was this moment yesterday between our Richard Engel and the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, that seemed to bring so much into crystal clear focus. But you have to listen very closely because there's a lot of nuance, even bigger implications. But to me, it seems like this was one of the most significant statements we have seen so far in this war. Listen.
Good to see you again, Mr. Prime Minister, and thank you for meeting at this historic and, I would say, very dangerous time. You have wanted a war against Iran to change regime, as you yourself said, for many years. Many Americans do believe that Israel dragged the United States in this war and is now pulling the rest of the world along with it. How do you see this ending?
Well, I think we have concrete goals, how to do it, how to end it. We wanted, as I said, decimate the ballistic missile program, which we're doing, decimate the nuclear program, which we're doing. I think that those are goals that are achievable, but I'm not going to put a schedule or a stopwatch on it. I think we have goals that have to be achieved, and we're not counting the days. But I will say this canard that we dragged the United States into it is not just a canard, it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. I mean, I think President Trump said it best, and I said it as well many times. There's always a danger in acting. But in conditions of existential threats, there's a much greater danger in not acting. What do you think would have happened if America did not act now? Just imagine what would have happened. In a few months' time, no more than a year, Khamenei, still alive, would have ordered the beginnings of the new nuclear program and the reconstructed ballistic missile program to move underground. Now, it'll take them a little time, maybe a few years, but you can't reach those programs. And they develop intercontinental ballistic missiles, okay? That means missiles that can hit Chicago and New York and Florida and Texas and California. Oh, but they don't have it yet. That's what people said. Right, let's wait. Well, just let them do it, you know. Just wait and let them do it. You won't be able to do it. It's the last moment. No, it takes a little time. I mean, you had a few months to prevent them from doing it and to just decimate these industries and perhaps achieve this transitional government in Iran. So you'd sit back and you say, well, it's not going to happen in the next Thursday, so let's not act. I tell you that there's enormous risk in not acting, much greater risk than acting. And if you think that the oil markets are in trouble today, think of Iran with nuclear weapons and the means to deliver them. And then think of the blackmail that you would endure.
I didn't exactly ask, however, why the Israel's... No, I think it's only fair to... This is a serious subject. This is a serious... My question...
Go ahead.
We don't have a lot of time.
Why you don't... This is a war and peace here.
Of course, but you have...
There are oil fields around the world that are burning. Gas prices are going up. The war is popular here in Israel. It is not popular with many Americans. So my question was, how do you see this ending? Not why, not even when. What do you imagine the day after will look like?
Well, we have achievable goals, and I'm not going to speak about the full battle plans that we have with the United States. We're well coordinated with them. I will say this, that once we achieve our goals, then I have argued, I think, and Americans understand this very well because we're real partners. I think that what has to be done is to have alternative routes. Instead of going through the choke points of the Hormuz Straits and the Bab el-Mandeb Straits, in order to have the flow of oil, just have oil pipelines going west through the Arabian Peninsula, right up to Israel, right up to our Mediterranean ports, and you've just done away with the choke points forever.
And let's get out to Jerusalem, where NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel is standing by. Richard, that exchange is going to go down in history. The rerouting of oil from the Middle East to Israel, that's the way that Netanyahu sees the end of this war?
Well, I think he sees that as an outcome that he definitely would like to see. This is very an ambitious project that he was talking about. So when you talk to him and you listen to Netanyahu and you listen to President Trump, they talk about their immediate goals. What was interesting, I thought, was to hear his long-term vision. And his long-term vision is this pipeline or series of pipelines that bring oil from the main oil producers in the Gulf region, have them traverse Israel, and then end up on the Mediterranean coast, avoiding the Strait of Hormuz together. That has enormous economic consequences, has enormous geopolitical consequences. It is not exactly redrawing the map, but it is redrawing the geographic map of the region. And if there is a ground invasion of islands off of the coast of Iran or Iran itself, then we're talking about actually physically redrawing the map of the Middle East. So yes, Prime Minister Netanyahu certainly has a long-term vision about how he wants to change the Middle East and change particularly the economic dynamics and economic power play in this, power balance, I should say, in this region.
Yeah, it would completely redraw geopolitics as we know it in the Middle East. And the first part of that exchange, too, it is so significant. I still keep thinking about what you told us earlier in the week about the war starting because that intelligence opportunity window. But so many people here are still focused on whether there was a, quote, imminent threat. And yet in Netanyahu's response to you, he did not paint it as an imminent threat as much as an existential threat. What did you hear there?
Well, I think you're absolutely right. The difference between imminent and existential, and when you try and drill down, as I tried to drill down with Prime Minister Netanyahu, is what do you mean by imminent? Imminent to me, and I think most people, means right now. It's happening soon. There's an imminent issue that you need to address. And President Trump talked about imminent. He said that they were weeks away from a nuclear weapon and then they were going to use it immediately, that day or the next day. That's pretty imminent, although he never presented any intelligence. There's no evidence to suggest that. There's no technical real possibility, according to experts, because Iran didn't have that kind of weapons-grade uranium, let alone a delivery mechanism for it that could reach the United States, or a trigger mechanism. So imminent, it doesn't seem imminent the way most people think about it. And as you said, Prime Minister Netanyahu was talking about it as existential, that if we didn't do it now, later on, they would be using these weapons against the United States and Israel, or use them to blackmail. And he mentioned the word imagine a lot. Imagine what would happen if Iran had a nuclear weapon. Imagine what they would do to Chicago or Los Angeles. So a lot of potentials and hypotheticals, but very little specific, no specifics at all about if this really was imminent, the way the word imminent means.
Yeah, and Richard, today seemed like a very, very close call. for the entire region, in particular the old city of Jerusalem. That whole area, the old city, the Wailing Wall is so close. Al-Aqsa Mosque. This is a holy site for so many different religions. It seems like that was a recipe for disaster. That was Iran targeting that area. What was going on there?
No, not exactly Iran targeting the area. Iran fired a missile. This is the old city behind me. You're looking at the old city walls. Actually, this explosion is sort of just around the corner there. I was over there a short while ago. An Iranian missile flew overhead, more or less over where I'm standing right now. It exploded in midair, apparently hit by an Israeli interceptor. The warhead dropped from this missile, which wasn't aimed right here, it was flying over Jerusalem. And the warhead dropped and exploded. And according to police, this warhead had dozens of kilograms of explosives inside. So a powerful bomb dropped from the sky from an Iranian missile and hit inside the old city. And it hit about 300 yards from the Wailing Wall. I measured it. We looked on our phone as a crow flies, 300 yards. That means 300 yards from the Wailing Wall, which is the holiest site for Jews. On top of the Wailing Wall is the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound with the Dome of the Rock and the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is holy to Muslims. And tonight is Eid, so it's a Muslim holiday on top of everything. It's the spot, the Dome of the Rock, where Muslims believe that Muhammad ascended to heaven. And very close to that is the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, where Christians believe that Jesus was crucified, entombed, and rose from the dead. These are all right next to each other behind the walls of this old city. The bomb hit one of the few, it's quite built up inside. People still live there. There's many churches. There's many holy sites. Those are just sort of the big three. It hit one of the few open areas and didn't even cause any injuries. So this was an extraordinarily close call.
Yeah, 300 yards difference, and we would have seen a very different day. NBC's Richard Engel from Jerusalem. Richard, thank you so much. And closer to home, several unidentified drones have been spotted flying over Army bases here in the United States, including this one. This is Fort McNair. It's in Washington, D.C. It's also where both Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth live. Now let's dig a little deeper with NBC News senior national security correspondent Courtney Cubie. Courtney, what do we know? What was seen, and exactly where was this?
Yeah, so we don't know a whole lot, frankly. We know that there were at least several drones that flew over Fort McNair earlier this week. And why that's so important is it's not just at a U.S. military base, but it's where several senior Trump administration officials live, including Secretary of State and National Security Advisor Marco Rubio and Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. So that opens up real concerns if drones are able to not only fly over the base walls, but to actually be able to move around inside the base and potentially either gather information or, there's always the potential for even worse, to present a real threat. But it's not just Fort McNair. We also know that there was an Air Force base, Barksdale Air Force Base in Louisiana, where swarms of drones have flown over multiple days now. Now, why that's so important, Gadi, is because that's where the U.S. has B-52. They're strategic bombers. These are nuclear-capable, long-range bombers. And Gadi, they have been dropping bombs in Iran over the last few weeks. So in the case of those drones, we know, according to officials, that they were actually able to fly around the base on multiple occasions, and it's just not clear what they were doing.
So a lot of people right now at home are going to immediately be wondering, why can't they just shoot them down? Why didn't they shoot them down?
It's such a good question, and it's such a fair question. But the reality is some of these drones, even the smaller ones, if you shoot them down or try to intercept them with something, or even if you jam them, they may fall straight to the ground, and they could present a danger to the people on the ground. In fact, they could even potentially be more dangerous than the drone just flying over and then leaving. Now, there are other ways that the U.S. military is working through ways to stop drones. They include things like the jamming that I mentioned. In some cases, they have a way to basically electronically alter the drone that sort of makes it turn around and go back to sender. That's one of the ideal ones. And then in some cases, there's even some systems that are other drones that have a net on them that go up and try to capture the incoming drone and bring them down. With all of those situations, what's really, really challenging is the drone swarms, because if you have a dozen or more drones at once, it's just really hard to stop them. And again, if even just one of those drones is packed with explosives, it can have really catastrophic consequences.
And I know that it's still being investigated, but is there like a short list of potential suspects, AKA like non-state actors here?
Yeah, I mean, not that we're aware of. I think that everyone's hope who we've been speaking to about this is that these are some hobbyists, right? Especially over Fort McNair. It's D.C., it's congested. It seems totally plausible that there was someone who had a drone and they put it up and they didn't realize that they shouldn't have been flying over a U.S. military base. Now, of course, along the walls of that base, and all of them, are signs that say no drones. But it's plausible that there was some kind of mistake. But I got to tell you, the Barksdale one seems a little bit more planned. When you talk about more than a dozen drones on multiple occasions, and they were flying over areas around the base, including the airfield where those bombers stay, where they're parked in many cases, and it was over multiple days. It feels like this was something much more coordinated than some hobbyist, Gotti.
Yeah, it sure does. Courtney Kuby, thank you so much for keeping an eye on it. And as more U.S. troops face the possibility of heading to the Middle East, a big question remains unanswered. Will the president put boots on the ground in Iran to secure the country's stockpile of highly enriched uranium that could potentially be used to build nuclear weapons, according to officials? Now, an operation that could inadvertently set off a chain reaction with that same material, that nuclear materiality, is of utmost concern to them. So how risky would that be? Very risky. And Matt Bradley reports.
As America's war against Iran ends its third week, a big question remains unanswered: how to secure Iran's highly enriched uranium. The UN's nuclear watchdog estimates Iran has nearly 1,000 pounds of highly enriched uranium. Experts say it could take as little as a week to enrich it to weapons-grade levels, and there's enough for 11 nuclear weapons.
We've got to get that material at some point.
John Bolton, President Trump's former national security advisor turned outspoken critic, has long been among Washington's most hawkish voices on Iran.
It would not be a success under any circumstances if we left the material in Iran, where it could be transferred to terrorist groups, to other rogue states, or other malicious actors.
The Iranians say the highly enriched uranium is right where they left it, before American airstrikes last year.
Our nuclear facilities were attacked, and everything is under the rubbles. Of course, there is the possibility to retreat them. For the time being, we have no program, we have no plan to recover them from under the rubbles.
Iran may be doing just that. According to the New York Times, citing multiple officials familiar with classified reports, American intelligence believes Iran could be able to access the buried uranium, which Avner Vilan, a former Israeli intelligence official and Iran expert, said is easily movable, stored in powder form at room temperature in canisters.
You could take it with a backpack, and then it doesn't have to be in these canisters. You could turn it into other forms as well.
Any potential ground incursion to go after the enriched uranium would likely involve a weeks-long excavation effort in the middle of a war zone. Do you think that some of the troops that are on their way to the Middle East right now could be used in such an operation?
They seem to be, from the public descriptions I've heard.
But even the riskiest American operation might only be a temporary solution.
Because even if the uranium is out and the regime still wants to have a nuclear weapon, they could get it.
A dangerous possibility shaping a deadly war. Matt Bradley, NBC News, Israel.
Matt Bradley, thank you. We turn now to the impact of the war in Iran here at home, where more than a dozen families are paying the ultimate price, planning funerals for their sons and daughters who signed up to serve. One father sat down with our own Maggie Vespa.
Tonight, America's troops are coming home as the cost of war hits the nation's heartland. 28-year-old Master Sergeant Tyler Simmons was quarterback for his Columbus, Ohio high school football team and a lifelong aviation enthusiast. His father, Charles, says he loved being an airman.
Tyler should have been burying me instead of the reverse.
Instead of you burying your only child.
My only child. Yes, my only child.
Simmons was one of 6 crew members killed when their refueling aircraft crashed in Iraq last week during Operation Epic Fury.
He knew no strangers. Literally, he could walk into this room and his presence would just illuminate it.
His remains were returned to the U.S. in a dignified transfer ceremony this week. Tyler's father met with President Trump.
We embraced. And he told me I was a strong man. I said, no, my son was a strong man. And he said that he could respect the man that could look the president in the eye and tell him exactly what he thinks.
The president said that to you?
Yes.
13 U.S. service members have been killed in action since the war began, the majority hailing from or deployed with units stationed in the Midwest, including 26-year-old Staff Sergeant Benjamin Pennington, finally back with his family in Kentucky. In Iowa, crowds lined the streets as the bodies of Major Jeffrey O'Brien and Sergeant Declan Cody were driven to local funeral homes.
The feeling of loss that those family members are experiencing right now is what really, really gets me in the heart.
In the crowd, many military families.
It could have been me. There's really nothing that is stopping that it could have been us.
Tonight, 13 American families are grieving unimaginable loss.
We all give something, but Tyler gave everything. I'll never be a grandfather.
And remembering their loved ones who made the ultimate sacrifice.
I want everyone to know Tyler Simmons wasn't just an enlisted person. He was an individual. He was a great American. And not just one of the casualties, but he was my son.
Just today, there was a funeral in Minnesota and a procession in Kentucky. And tomorrow, there are 2 funerals planned in Iowa. Of the 13 service members killed in combat since the war in Iran began, 9 are from the Midwest. Gotti.
Maggie Vespa, our prayers go out to their families and everyone else in harm's way. Thank you so much for that reporting. And travelers are facing hours of long waits at airport security lines. That's as TSA officers continue working without pay more than a month now into the Department of Homeland Security's shutdown. Nearly 10% of officers across the country called out yesterday, with that number surpassing 30% in Atlanta and Houston. DHS funding talks continue to drag on as lawmakers disagree on immigration enforcement, and NBC's Tom Costello has the latest.
At critical choke point airports, those long TSA lines are going from bad to worse to even worse.
We're all the way back to the food court, so this is a lot.
3-hour lines in Atlanta.
How long have you been waiting in line?
I think it's been like forever to my feet.
NBC's Aaron Gilchrist is there.
The advice has been to check online for TSA wait times, but they don't take into account the line before the line, which could double your wait.
2 to 3 hour lines at both Houston airports. NBC's Priscilla Thompson.
Here at Bush Intercontinental, the line snaking through the terminal, downstairs, almost to the parking garage.
Same in New York and Miami. 35 days without a full paycheck, 5,000 of the 50,000 TSA officers are calling out, often working second jobs. More than 30% calling out in Atlanta and Houston, trying to pay their rent, mortgage, car loans, food, gas, and meds.
A couple of days ago, I had to ask my 15-year-old daughter for gas money.
Tatiana Finley and her husband are both TSA officers.
I shouldn't have to go and ask my child to use her birthday money for gas.
In Atlanta, the world's busiest airport is under stress. What is your advice to travelers who are going to be flying out of Atlanta?
Try to get to the airport at least 3 hours in advance. You'd rather be there too early than to be too late. and increase your risk of missing a flight.
Meanwhile, 4 Delta flight attendants taken to the hospital in Sydney, Australia, after hitting turbulence on a flight from L.A. No serious injuries.
A kid's birthday money for gas. Tom Costello, incredible reporting. Thank you. And don't go anywhere. Up next, more on the growing fallout over reality TV star Taylor Frankie Paul and ABC's decision to pull her season of The Bachelorette just days before its premiere. Plus, dangerous flooding in Hawaii right now forcing thousands to evacuate. The latest on the situation there, so stay tuned.
All right,
90. All right. Lise, that was a really strong block on Iran. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Todd. Thank you, everybody in the control room. That was powerful stuff all around. Oh, all right. Just privatized TSA. Have you guys seen Clear? It's crazy because the TSA stuff is going on, and then Clear, it's a wild time. SML, thank you. Lisa, you're the best. With all the money being spent on plane tickets.
1 minute.
If you guys do travel, at least say thank you to the TSA officers. Let's see. They can't hear you now. I'm very busy. We're reaching poison warpath. I see where you're coming from there. Geraldo Torres, worst airport in the U.S., bro? Which one? Atlanta or Houston? Your show tells us stuff I otherwise would never know about. Crabby leftist, thanks. That's what we're trying to do. There's just so much that happens throughout the day, and I know that there's all kinds of other newscasts out there. We try to go deep on the nuance, on the context. If you notice, I don't have the answers at all. I'm just trying to figure out how this world is working. So that's our North Star, and we're going to keep to it. Enigma, thanks so much. 10 seconds. All right, here we go. Back at it. Hey, welcome back. Here are some other headlines we are watching tonight. A jury in San Francisco just found Elon Musk liable for misleading investors. Now, this verdict says Musk drove the stock price of Twitter down just months before his 2022 acquisition of the company for $44 billion. But the jury also absolved Musk of fraud allegations and didn't think that he schemed to mislead investors. Because of this, and because this is a class action case, it's unclear how much in damages Musk is going to have to pay, but it might be in the billions. And a U.S. Army vet faces murder charges for allegedly taking an abortion medication. The arrest warrant says Alexia Moore went to the hospital with stomach pain. The fetus died after delivery and was about 22 to 24 weeks old. In 2019, Georgia banned most abortions where a heartbeat could be detected. Lawyers for Moore declined to comment on that case. In Hawaii, right now they are under a flash flood watch as another storm brings heavy rain to the islands. This evacuation order has been issued for Wailea and Haliva as emergency officials warn a nearby dam is, quote, at imminent risk of failure. Floodwaters have already closed road and submerged those cars and destroyed so many homes in the North Shore. And a major shakeup in television. The FCC has greenlit Nexstar's multi-billion-dollar merger with rival company Tegna. That combined company will now control about 60% of TV households nationwide. Regulators waived key ownership limits to allow that deal, even as lawsuits challenged the decision. An actor and martial arts icon, Chuck Norris, has passed away. His family confirmed the news on social media, saying Norris passed away on Thursday at his home in Hawaii. And aside from his action movies back in the 80s, Norris was also known for his TV show Walker, Texas Ranger from the 90s. He even became an actual Texas Ranger in 2010. He was 86 years old. And there is still fallout tonight for reality TV star Taylor Frankie Paul. ABC canceled Paul's season of The Bachelorette just 3 days before its premiere. Disney says that's because of this video obtained by TMZ, which was filmed back in 2023. It allegedly shows this fight, this altercation between Paul and her former partner. Take a look.
Let me go. Stop. Dude, leave me alone. Oh my God. Your daughter is right here.
Now, fast forward to last month when police in Utah told People magazine there is an open domestic assault investigation into Paul and her ex, Dakota Mortensen. That led cast members on Secret Lives of Mormon Wives to meet with ABC executives on March 7th. And we know in an audio of that meeting obtained by NBC News, they said they had concerns continuing on the show if Paul stayed. Now, they quoted, "It's a dangerous situation. It's a sad situation, and we don't know how to navigate it because Taylor is our friend." Let's bring in NBC News guests here. We've got a couple of guests, but first we've reached out to ABC for comments on that meeting. So far, we have not heard back yet. So let's just dive straight into all of this. Misty Maris, our legal analyst, is with us. Also, Rebecca Jennings. She's a feature writer for New York Magazine. Thank you so much for being with us, both of you. Misty, let's start with you in some of these new developments. Dakota Mortensen, the kid's father, was granted a protective order against Paul earlier today. Is this all from the 2023 case? And what is this going to mean for his son, who he shares with Taylor?
So there was another domestic violence incident just this past February where both individuals are making claims against each other. But Dakota Mortensen has gone to the court and asked for a temporary protective order. Now, in order to get that, you have to show that there is an imminent risk to physical safety, and you also get temporary custody of their child. Taylor will have her opportunity to tell her story in court at the next appearance in April. But it's important to note, Gotti, a temporary restraining order like this is done ex parte, meaning Taylor's not involved in the process. The judge assesses whether there's enough to grant the protective order, and then at that upcoming court appearance, there'll be more information provided. But this is definitely a significant development relating to these issues that the two have been involved in.
Interesting. We'll wait to hear more details from that investigation. But, around the same time, Rebecca, you sat down with Taylor Frankie Paul while she was filming The Bachelorette, right? And she's been doing these press tours. It was a big deal up until 3 days ago when they pulled the plug on the entire thing. How did production seem at the time, and what did she tell you?
Yeah, I visited the Bachelorette set in November at Las Vegas Chippendales, and at the time, Taylor was in great spirits. Everything seemed to be running smoothly. She seemed really upbeat behind the scenes and excited to talk to fans and enjoying her time. She later told me that her time filming that show, she felt very taken care of. Like, she didn't have to worry about a thing. Her kids were safe. All she had to do was focus on finding love. And then when I met her 3 months later in February, she was back to her normal life, back to filming Mormon Wives. And that's when she told me a lot about being in this very, very dark place, feeling really overwhelmed, depressed, and taking on too much, not getting any breaks, and just like really struggling. And she had referenced a big meltdown that had recently been captured on camera for season 5 of Mormon Wives. And she was dreading when Mormon Wives season 4 dropped, which was last week, where some of her behavior has been pretty controversial. So she was much happier on set of The Bachelorette, and it seemed like she was really struggling with the transition to filming Mormon Wives and back to her normal life.
Not to get too meta here, but it is so crazy to see all of this drama happen almost out of sequence, right? And the way that you just laid it out, you've got The Bachelorette, the filming there that we may never see, right? And then you've got whatever's happening where police are involved. And then you've got Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, which is still airing footage from what happened then, right? So I guess it seems as though a full picture is going to be hard to come by, no?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why it's so difficult to make a timeline of all of this. And even, a week after I spoke to her in February in Salt Lake City, that was when the second alleged incident of domestic violence occurred. And that was while, filming was still ongoing for season 5 of Mormon Wives. And so they film constantly for this show. And so it's almost this rolling drama that we're all watching like 3 months later, which is a tight timeline.
The crazy part about this, and Misty, you know this better than anybody, I mean, so much of these clips, so much of this drama could end up in a courtroom, right? I mean, the incident from 2023, that was not a secret. Paul talked about it on Secret Lives. There was video that they used of, police interacting with her. And now the company is looking at a loss of up to like $30 million if this season doesn't air. I do want to ask, Do you see a bunch of lawsuits popping up all over the place, from the production side of things to, possibly castmates to possibly her?
Yeah, that video from 2023 was something that was in possession of police, and investigators actually had that, and it resulted in Taylor Frankie Paul pleading guilty to an aggravated assault, and she's currently on probation relating to that. So now we have the new incident that's reported in February. But keep in mind the impact of this on the Bachelor franchise. As you said, tremendous amount of money. Think about the licensing agreements, the marketing that's gone on, advertisers. You're talking about a whole tower of corporate issues, contracts between all of these entities that are now going to be potentially resulting in litigation. As far as Taylor Frankie Paul, most entertainment contracts include a morality clause or a behavior clause. And those contracts can really dictate what happens in a situation like this. Usually they're quite broad. They say something like you bring a negative light to the organization, to the network, and then there could potentially be damages that are recoverable from that. So there's a lot to come of this. This is really messy, and a lot of different issues, even outside of, just the tragic domestic violence incident. You have all these other corporate issues as well.
Yeah, and Rebecca, I do want to ask, we've got some reporting as well about this meeting that went on between some of the cast members and then possibly ABC, and there was an executive that said something along the lines of, I don't know much, and I don't know if I want to know much, or something along those lines. Is that going to have pretty big implications here?
Well, I feel like ABC was really banking on Taylor Frankie Paul's star power rescuing this franchise from, a series of years of declining ratings. And it's a franchise that also hasn't really kept up to where like dating shows or even like the wider culture is right now. And they were clearly hoping to cash in on her track record of having, making really riveting TV. I think they're probably scrambling right now to how to turn this around when they're getting criticism for hiring Taylor in the first place, when the details of the 2023 incident were already public. It was just the video of it that was new, and criticism from the other side of people who, really wanted to watch the season play out, and now it's canceled and may never be seen before. So I think ABC has a lot of thinking to do.
Yeah, as we all watch those clips, knowing that there's all kinds of drama around that, and as you said, the world may never see it. Misty Maris, Rebecca Jennings, thank you so very much. And if you or someone you know needs help, that is available through the National Domestic Violence Hotline. That's 1-800-799-7233. And coming up, George Solis is going to take us through communities in Cuba with an up-close and personal look at what people on the island are enduring as that economic crisis continues.
90 here. Window wall.
All right. Guys, what do you think, chat, of that craziness? 90?
90, yep. Window wall.
Season 2, Season 4, Season 5. I mean, it's like, how do you keep track? But again, the morality clause is there, and reality TV, they want people to be spicy. That's the point. It's just a weird thing, right? Very interesting point. Watched network in a long time. Aw, Wato Cat, thanks so much. Yeah, this is network, but it's a little bit different, as you can tell. Let's see. Yeah, totally. Okay.
About 30.
30 seconds. Oh, we got time for one more question. Got a good one? Would you have a reality TV show? I do have it. It's right here with you, starring Lisa at her house, recovering. All kinds of drama. Okay. All right, we're doing Cuba next. 10 seconds. Okay.
4, 3.
And as you've probably seen, Cuba's economy has taken a turn for the worse since the Trump administration has blocked all shipments to the island, all oil shipments. Fuel is very hard to find. Inflation is high. Food is unaffordable. Medicine is scarce. NBC News correspondent George Solis is right now in Havana talking to Cubans about what life is like under this embargo.
With a smile as big as the bow on her head, 4-year-old Ariani Cesar has spent half of her young life in this bed at Havana's premier cancer hospital. She's a kidney cancer patient. She's already lost one kidney, and the other now has a tumor. The hope is she can handle her treatment when it's available. Mom, Arlenis Martinez, tells me from travel to treatment, things have only gotten harder. They're here multiple days at a time because back home, there's often no power, no food, no gas. Her biggest fear, it's her daughter who'll pay the price. When push comes to shove, what do I do with my little girl, she says. Where does my little girl end up? Her plea to Havana and Washington, keep these innocent kids in mind. They didn't ask for any of this. Meanwhile, doctors caring for these children say it's only getting harder. This year has been terrible. Pediatric oncologist Yolemi Romero says, "Buenos días, ¿cómo está?" It's not just hospitals. In the heart of Havana, pharmacies are virtually empty. We stopped by 4 where we were asked not to shoot the mostly bare shelves, forcing many to find medicine on the black market. Either my family sends it or I buy it from people selling online, this woman tells me. When I've needed medication, my daughter in the U.S. sends it, this man said. Also on the black market, gas. Last week going for as much as $40 a gallon. And take a look at this. Cab drivers, hundreds of them waiting here all night for simply 5 gallons of gas. And to get it, they need this government-issued card. Jose Menendez slept in his pink 1952 Ford convertible. What do you do if you can't drive people around?
This is not the first time we are in great difficulty, so we have managed to always have a plan B.
Lines also forming at this street market for food for those who can't afford it. Today is the farmer's market, and I can't buy anything because I have no money, this mother told me. Now this is something that's very interesting. Potatoes here for 350 pesos. They're imported from the United States, but you'll notice there's a longer line here. Over here for sale, Cuban potatoes at 200 pesos. And we saw it can get tense. A brief argument breaks out over someone accused of jumping the line for something as simple as a potato. In central Havana, I met Giovanni Rafael Peleta, who's worked at this upholstery shop for the last 15 years. He's grateful the lights are on today after Monday's national blackout that lasted more than a day. It's like having a rope around my neck, he says. They keep squeezing. He welcomes help from any country, including the U.S. Things are just too dire, he says, to keep throwing stones. Nelson Perez is a barber with 2 small boys. He tells me there's an urgent need for change.
Patria y vida. Ya estamos cansados.
He's fed up and using social media to post messages of protest demanding profound democratic and economic changes in Cuba. Back at the hospital, Arlenis Martinez dreams her little girl will grow up to live in a better world where Cuba and all of these children in this hospital can prosper. George Solis, NBC News.
George, thank you for that. And coming up in the future of everything, a look inside a high-tech simulator that is training Air Force soldiers on how to handle medical rescue missions in the middle of battle. All right.
120 here.
120, and then what's our E block again? What are we doing on time? Oh, Gary, that's right. All right. Heavy? Okay, cool. All right. George did, yeah. Reporting from Cuba this week. Let's see. Lexi. Interesting. Interesting. All right. Next, we've got, it really boils down to this. I mean, we all talk about regulation of AI. It's the most important thing that we can be talking about, apart from all the other important things we talked about today, war in Iran, all that stuff. But it really comes down to who's going to be writing those laws. Is it going to be Congress? Is it going to be executive action, federal, state? That's coming up right now.
20.
And in tonight's Future of Everything, one of the biggest questions, one of the most important questions of our time, regulating artificial intelligence. And it's something so important, you would hope everyone would be on the same page. But first, who gets to make the rules? Is it the government? Obviously it is, but which government? Is it the federal government, the state government, the president, Congress? That's where it gets extremely tricky. Today, we've got the White House's framework that they want Congress to work off, and it's got all the things that everyone's hoping is going to get tackled, right? We've obviously got the deep fake stuff, kid safety, tech paying for higher energy. That would be nice. But then comes the controversial stuff. So let's bring in NBC News AI fellow Jared Perlow to talk a little bit more about that part where things get really complicated. First off, the whole Fed versus state rules here. It seems like right at the end of this thing, the president does not want states to be able to regulate AI development. What kind of fight is that setting up?
So that's at the core of this issue right here. We've been talking about this for months, maybe feels like years at this point in the AI world. But it's a key question about the development of these AI systems, really powerful AI systems. Should individual states have the opportunity and the right to legislate how they're developed? Or instead, is that a matter for the federal government? The federal government says the states should not be involved because that would lead to a patchwork of regulation, each state choosing its own menu items, basically, and that would cause confusion for AI developers and hamper AI innovation. On the other hand, a lot of state legislators and even people in Congress, federal representatives and senators, say that in the absence of federal regulation, real meaningful regulation, that states have to take action. So that's what's at the core of this. And as you mentioned, at the end of this document released this morning, we saw President Trump and his team say that the states should not have a significant role. So this is something that they've been saying for a long time. It'll be interesting to see what Congress does with basically this wish list that President Trump released this morning.
Yeah, it also seems like the administration, I mean, this is illuminating. They think that AI training on copywritten material does not violate copyright laws, but they also left it for the courts to decide. Both of those things could be aligned. They could go in different directions. But what could we see here?
So again, this is a very live issue. So we saw some significant court cases handed down last year in 2025 that basically said a key question is whether these AI companies transform the material that they train on. So again, you can think of these giant AI systems just soaking up, vacuuming up, hoovering up all this data that they can get their hands on from different libraries, from different books. Sometimes it was pirated in the case of Anthropic. But now courts are deciding, it's again an issue that's going to play out over the coming months. How does the role of transformation, what does the AI company actually do in transforming the material there? Do they convert it into something new, or do they just regurgitate it? So unfortunately, we're going to have to wait until mid-2026 to see this issue play out, which is something that we saw today from this new document. But I spoke with some people in the White House, and they said they really want looser regulations on this fair use doctrine, basically saying that AI companies should have the right to soak up as much of this information as they can.
Lots more to discuss, and this is something that we're going to be following for quite some time. Jared Perlow, really appreciate your reporting. Thank you. And the war in Iran so far has taken place in the air without U.S. troops on the ground, but the Air Force is training for medical rescue missions in this new high-tech simulator training center called the Sea Stars. That just opened up in Cincinnati, Ohio. NBC's John Torres takes us there.
It could be a scene straight out of the latest conflict in the Middle East.
Propofol and fentanyl are going for sedation.
Okay. Soldiers preparing for a medical rescue mission, handling a critical care patient in the back of a C-130 military aircraft.
No worries.
A soldier injured in battle.
We're going to give you some medicine here to help you go to sleep, all right?
We will be at cruising altitude when we go in there. Are you ready?
But this is actually just a simulation to teach some of the Air Force's most elite medical troops, the critical care or CCAT teams, how to treat complicated injuries while in flight. Colonel Valerie Sams leads the Sea Stars program here at UC Health.
How high stress, how high risk are these missions they'll be training for?
This is what I consider probably the highest risk mission, the most important mission that the Air Force is responsible for, and that's the critical care transport of patients from anywhere in the world.
Is this essentially an ICU in the sky?
It is, and we used to kind of say that. We're the critical care in the air, right? But it's a little bit more complicated than that. You can't take a critical care team out of an ICU and put them on the back of an aircraft without any additional training and expect them to be able to do it. Both patients were involved in a dismounted IED blast.
Here at Sea Stars, the mission is to ensure the CCAT teams are always war ready. They have intense and immersive 2-week trainings every year, which includes flight simulations, like the one I did.
Heart rate 115.
And I can say, as a retired Air Force flight surgeon myself, it was pretty hardcore.
This is going to click in there.
All of the scenarios that we give them are based upon real patients, and that's one of the unique things. They're essentially real patients that we have transported in the past. This is probably the best training the Air Force can offer in the medical corps to prepare people.
The Sea Star Simulation Center at UC Health is one of the most advanced medical military training centers in the world. The state-of-the-art facility spans 25,000 square feet and allows CCAT teams to experience high-stress medical environments, including aeromedical evacuations, as well as field care scenarios.
You should want the best possible training and environment for them to be able to do that, to get anyone home that needs to come home.
Colonel Sam says trainees are only given 2 chances, and about 10% don't actually make it through to become part of these elite teams. But those that do are the best of the best, which is what any of our injured soldiers deserve.
We go to the ends of the earth for one of our own, right? We will go to the ends of the earth for you.
And that's what this does.
That's what this does.
Dr. John Torres, thank you so much. And not only was he a flight surgeon, he was also a colonel. He is the best of our best. Dr. John, thanks. Coming up, what might be the most on-brand DC pop-up bar just opened its doors for the weekend. We are taking you inside this thing called the Situation Room. But first, you got to see this. Spring has sprung, or at least it's trying to. That is the official time of year in DC when the National Cherry Blossom Festival opens up along the National Mall. More than 1 million people are expected to come out to see those trees over the next several weeks, with the peak bloom expected in late March.
3 minutes. Position G.
All right, position G. Here we go. Here we go. Kelly O'Brien, thanks so much. SML, great to see you again. Oh, hey, Twitch. But wait, great to see you. Thank you for following. How about you do your job and just pay your... Uh-oh. Sounds like you guys are arguing about something. Boarding the night to tuck and roll with them pants. I hope you're not hearing the soundtrack Pretty in Pink. But yeah, I usually roll up pants because I don't wear, these shoes are, they don't look like it, but they're kind of like Crocs. So it's weird to have them all the way down. Plus it's like 90 million degrees in LA. So I know it looks like Miami Vice here, but super hot on the West Coast right now. You could watch that aquarium right now. Let's see, Fish Cookie Maker. This is the best way to watch the news. Fish cookie. Is that a thing? Does that sound delicious or not? Yeah, I'm gonna have to try it. Let's see, Amelia Anderson. I think that's good. I think that means you guys are being friends again. And we are going to go to this thing called the Situation Room. So, do you guys all have a friend that monitors a situation way too closely? I'm probably that guy in the friend group. Anyway, yeah, it's the person that knows a little bit about everything that's going on in the world. And you're like, how do you have this much time to read that much news? And they're also all of a sudden making bets or placing wagers or doing prediction mark. I don't know what the official terminology is because they always get mad. They're like, this is not a bet. This is a money prediction. Anyway, there's this new place in DC called the Situation Room, and we're gonna go there. So
1 minute.
We're gonna check on the situation over in the Situation Room. Kyoko Oliveira, we see you from Brazil. Oh, boa noite. Tudo bem?
45.
Gracias? How do you say that in Portuguese? Obrigado. Obrigado pra você. That's what it is. I remembered. That's right. Krabby Lettuce. I have my own Situation Room. I hope it has like a lazy boy. That's what every Situation Room means. Oh, let's see. Oh, there he is. Okay. Gary's ready to go. All right, here we go. Let's monitor.
20. 7, 5, 4, 3.
And finally tonight, when some of us hear the word Situation Room, a lot of us think of that iconic image, you know, the mission to take down Osama bin Laden from inside of the White House. But now Polymarket, the crypto-based prediction market, is opening its own Situation Room pop-up bar in the nation's capital where people can come monitor situations together. Think like day trading, real-time open source intel maps, real-time updates on everything from March Madness to where the United States might bomb Iran next. Let's bring in Gary Grumbach, who is monitoring the situation at the Situation Room. Hey, Gary, it looks like there's some situations going on behind you. What's it looking like?
It's as if someone could have predicted this, Gotti. This was supposed to be 80-plus TVs, with these TVs filled with your latest stocks, the latest news, the latest weather, the latest FlightAware. And there are 80 TVs here that are not working. I want Paul, my cameraman, to show you around here what this place looks like. We do have a couple TVs here not working. We have a globe. This globe's working. But what the whole point of this was to provide a place to monitor the situation. This has turned into perhaps the worst place in the world to monitor a situation because there's no Wi-Fi and there's nowhere to do any of this. So this was really just a PR stunt gone bad here. But talking to folks here that are here at this event, this bar is packed, as you can see. They really fall into two camps. One of the camps is folks who have traded on Polymarket, have traded on Kalshi, love doing it, understand the issues with the regulations, understand the issues when it comes to insider trading, but do it anyway. One guy said to me, yeah, I have a friend who works in Hollywood. He tells me who is going to come and be at the Academy Awards. I then bet on that and make money. I said, you know, that's sort of insider trading. He said, yes, exactly. That's why I'm doing it. So there's a lot of that, but then there's also people here who are concerned about that issue and say, this is perhaps a real issue that folks are insider trading. Perhaps they shouldn't do that. Now, Washington, D.C., Gotti, as you're well aware, full of government employees. Government employees really can't do this because if they make extra income, that could pop up on their tax return. So there's a lot of different facets of this, but this day one of this big PR blowout event for Polymarket not meeting the expectations of organizers.
Oh my, Gary, I mean, wait, hold up. First of all, I'm so scared you're gonna get beat up there. So you can whisper to us so you don't say this stuff so loud with everybody around you. But wait, can you pan back to the monitors? Because it's the monitors to monitor the situation are not working? Like, what? How are you supposed to monitor the situation with,
and actually,
with no
as
monitors?
we're speaking, Gotti, as we're speaking, Gotti, they're actually shutting down the bar, and it sounds like this event is over for the night. That's happening as we speak. But yeah, you're not expected to monitor the situation without any monitors. We see a lot of people on their phones, but they're texting. They're not exactly talking to folks or going on their Polymarket site. In fact, I had one guy come up to me and said, yeah, I just signed up to Polymarket, but I'm the millionth person in line on the wait list.
Oh my, Gary Grumbach, what a way to bring in a Friday night over there at the Situation Room. Thank you for monitoring this situation for us. That's gonna do it for us tonight. I'm Gotti Schwartz. We'll see you back here on Monday, but until then, stay tuned to NBC News Now. Fantastic. Tell the social team that is gonna go so everywhere. That's crazy. Did you guys see that? What? What? There's no monitors in to monitor the situation. That's a situation. Guys, that is wild. Okay. Yeah, for future, yes, thank you so much, Grigoris. It is loud over there. Okay, please come back. Is this a new format? Yes, it is. I try to speak Portuguese. Eu falo pouquinho, mas não tudo bem. Let's see. I love the aquarium too. And guys, that was 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock on the East Coast, 8 o'clock on the No, 5 o'clock on the West Coast, 8 o'clock on the East Coast. DC, Gary Grumbach for the win. Incredible reporting. Let's see you back here on Monday. Thank you guys so very much. Hasta.